Welcome to The Explainer. In our insanely fast-moving world where new frameworks, technologies, and incredibly dense academic papers seem to drop, every single day, learning how to quickly decode that heavy jargon, well, that is the ultimate advantage. Today, we're going to build that exact superpower together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Mortimer Adler actually hit the nail on the head with this one. The person who says he knows what he thinks but cannot express it usually does not know what he thinks. This right here establishes our entire core premise for today. If you're finding yourself hiding behind really big, fancy words, well, you probably don't fully grasp the concept yourself. Complexity often acts as a mask for a lack of true understanding.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. How on earth do we explain the unexplainable? I mean, how do we take something as unbelievably dense as cutting-edge AI research, the kind that's just packed with Greek letters and matrix math, and translate that into something a 12-year-old could easily grasp? Is that even possible? I'm here to tell you it absolutely is, and we've got a specific roadmap to get us there.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the art of simple, the Feynman technique, demystifying the transformer, governing the AI giant, and finally, learn by teaching. And by giving you this outline up front, I'm actually using Algo Academy's rule number 2, always start with the big picture to give everyone a clear framework.
Section 1. The art of simple. Before anything else, we really need to understand the fundamental philosophy of simplification.
So the crucial point is Algo Academia's Rule 9, progressive disclosure. You absolutely cannot just dump everything you know onto someone all at once. It just doesn't work. Instead, you start with the absolute basics, you build a solid foundation, and only then do you gradually layer in those highly nuanced ideas. It's totally key to preventing cognitive overload and keeping your audience fully with you.
Section 2, the Feynman technique. Let's look at the absolute master framework for accelerated learning.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely strips away all the jargon. Derived from Nobel laureate Richard Feynman, this framework relies on 4 incredibly simple steps. Step 1, you pick your concept and map out literally everything you know about it on a blank page. Step 2, teach it to a 12-year-old. And hey, if you use jargon here, you fail. Step 3, review your source material and refine things when you inevitably hit a wall. And finally, step 4, test and archive. Doing this forces you to strip away the fluff and reveals whether you actually have true comprehension.
But why is this so unbelievably effective? Well, the cognitive science behind it, straight from the Whisper source, is just fascinating. First, it uses active recall. Pulling information out of your brain strengthens your memory, just like lifting weights builds a muscle. Second, chunking. This breaks massive, terrifying topics down into bite-sized, digestible pieces so you don't get overwhelmed. And third, metacognition. That's really just a fancy way of saying thinking about your own thinking. When you stumble trying to explain a concept, your brain instantly spots its own knowledge gaps.
Applying Algo Academy's Rule 17, let's contrast these two ideas. Passive reading is basically just staring at your notes, tricking yourself into thinking you know the material. Active retrieval, on the other hand, is closing that book and teaching the material completely from memory. Active retrieval vastly outperforms passive learning, hands down, because it literally forces your brain to organize, synthesize, and actively construct the information.
All right, so we've got the rules and the theory down. Now let's get a little meta. We are going to test these exact rules live on some incredibly dense, real-world AI papers.
Section 3, demystifying the transformer. Time for our first test case.
We're going to apply this to Richard Turner's highly mathematical introduction to transformers. The incredibly complex architecture powering tools like ChatGPT. To do this, we're employing Algo Academy Rule 5, use visual aids. Take a look at this incredibly dense math input. It describes n vectors which are each d-dimensional, represented by a frankly intimidating matrix. Unless you're a machine learning engineer, your eyes are probably glazing over right now, right? This is the exact kind of jargon that totally masks understanding.
And this brilliantly illustrates the solution. We can actually translate that terrifying math matrix into something a 12-year-old could easily understand. Instead of n vectors, just think of an image broken down into n relatable little patches. In AI, a token is essentially just a puzzle piece. When you feed an image into a vision transformer, it quite literally chops that image up into a bunch of visual puzzle pieces. Suddenly, that intimidating math becomes a highly tangible physical concept.
Now, let's use Algo Academy Rule 3, using analogies to tackle one of the absolute most complex ideas in AI. The paper spends pages and pages doing heavy math to explain self-attention. Let's Feynman this thing.
Self-attention is simply how the AI decides which puzzle pieces are most relevant to each other. Just imagine the AI looking at a puzzle piece of a dog's ear, and then rapidly scanning all the other pieces to find the nose or the tail, just to understand the full picture. See? Zero complex math required to understand the core mechanism.
Okay, we've successfully tackled the heavy machine learning math. Now, let's completely pivot for our second test case and take on notoriously dense corporate governance and transparency jargon.
Section 4, Governing the AI Giant. Let's look at Microsoft's 2025 Responsible AI Transparency Report.
Corporate reports like this one are notoriously difficult to digest, usually packed with high-level norms and operational policies. Microsoft discusses governing AI through this massive, sprawling framework. But hey, tables are a fantastic way to employ Algo Academy's Rule 4. Break it down into smaller parts. We can map all that corporate speak into a super simple 3-step action plan right here. Map the risks in your AI system, measure exactly how big those risks are, and manage them with actual concrete mitigations. Map, measure, manage. By chunking it down, a dense 60-page document instantly becomes an easily memorable checklist.
Section 5, Learn by Teaching. Let's move to and see how this builds our final takeaway.
We've seen how to simplify cutting-edge math, and we've seen how to simplify corporate jargon. It all really comes back to this one brilliant quote from the Farnam Street Guide. Anyone can make a subject complicated, but only someone who understands can make it simple. That right there is the core thesis of our explainer today. True expertise doesn't lie in hiding behind big words, dense matrices, or endless corporate acronyms. True expertise is the ability to use progressive disclosure, relatable analogies, and solid visual aids to make the complex absolutely crystal clear. Teaching someone else isn't just nice to do, it is the ultimate life hack for your own brain.
So I'm going to leave you with a final provocative thought today. What complex topic are you going to Feynman today? You've now got the complete toolkit: progressive disclosure, active retrieval, and analogy building. Take these tools, go out into the real world, and start decoding the jargon around you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what you simplify next.